Welcome back. Today we're going to dive into a little bit more wisdom from the bench. I've been at the bench over 40 years and I've learned one or two things that I just like to share on this channel. But before we do that today, and because today is Bench Wisdom Bingo Day, I'm going to give you a tour of the shop here. It's a little bit early before I open up, so I thought, you know what a great time. I haven't done this in a while. Just kind of give you an idea of how things are laid out for me and how I do my operation here at the JewelryMonk studio. So let's go take a tour. All right, here's the front door, the entrance way. Got a little bit of jewelry in the stand here. When it's plugged in, it spins. I don't have it plugged in yet just because I'm not open. I got a TV up there that scrolls through different educational videos, and a lot of the pieces that we make here have videos that go with them, so there's kind of on a loop. There's probably 20 or 30 pieces and videos that go there. Here's just one of the displays here. I got some odds and ends, findings and things like that. A couple of jewelry displays on the wall. Got a jewelry display here. Got some jewelry displays over there. There's the JewelryMonk motto. Got some more stuff over here. So this is just kind of where the customers come in. They get to see some of the stuff we have here. And then this is where all the magic happens. So over here is just a catch-all. We got a whiteboard that we throw down our thoughts and keep track of things. We got plants that I try to kill all the time. This is where we do a lot of our assembly. This is where Ken sits and does some of the computer work. We do just kind of a catch-all thing here. And over here is just more odds and ends. This is my tracking system for how many pieces I have in-house. And again, just kind of everything is got place for everything. So there's a pentagraph machine for doing some quick engraving. Here's my bench setup. So kind of where I do a lot of the videos and teaching and things like that, plus all of the custom and repairs and all that stuff that I do. So that's where that happens. Over here, right next to it, is my wax station. So I do some of the waxing, cleaning here, treeing up for casting. And then over here is wax injecting. So there's some of the molds up here for production pieces, and we just inject them there, we tree them up, and then we invest them and cast them. And then like up in there and over here, we've just got extra waxes so that when we're casting, we can pull them out of stock instead of injecting all the time. Got a little scale. There's some more molds in there. There's a air compressor for the wax injection machine. There's a vulcanizer for making molds. There's an ultrasonic. This is my washout station. So I got two ultrasonics and a clean bucket. Over here is where I do some of my casting and investing. And then I've got electromelt, and then this is a burnout oven that I got, and you can see, if you listen real closely, you can hear it ticking because it's got a few flasks in there for casting a little bit later. You see it's sitting right now at about 1100 degrees. So here is the training benches and work benches. So this is Ken, who works for me. This is his setup. Apprentice Nyamalo, she comes in, and this is where she does her magic. And then over here is kind of a catch-all, an extra bench. We don't utilize it for much more than I got my pin tumbler up there, my magnetic pin tumbler, and the hot water for tea and stuff like that. This is where Colton sits. He's the guy that I got working for me. He does a lot of the repairs for me. Extra bench over here. There's a torch that I use for casting over there. And back here is, so up here we've got laser engraver, we got 3D printer, there's my computer and stuff. Here's another casting machine for larger flasks. There's a refrigerator and a microwave. And back here is just more tumbling stuff. and just odds and ends everywhere, stuffed everywhere. Back in there is a bunch of tools and supplies that I used to sell that I don't anymore. They just sit back there and get older. And over here there's an old centrifugal casting machine that I haven't used in a while, but it's functional. If I ever need it, I just plug it in and go. There's a lapidary for cutting stones and polishing stones. There's a metal working bench with the rolling mills. I got a couple of them. The ring stretcher. There's my draw plates and my steam machines. I use the Steam Dragon, the little green one right now. But if it ever quits working, I've got a backup, the larger one back there. Grinding. There's polishing. There's my filtration for my polishing. That works really good. Keeps all of the dust and stuff out of my face when I'm polishing. And over here is just more tools. There's all burrs and wax and all kinds of things. As well as down there, we got more stuff. Here is a laser welder. We use that every single day. This is a light box for taking photography. Here is a centrifugal tumbler that works great. Takes hours off of the workload. There's more stuffed under there. Over here is just another table for photography and just kind of another catch-all place. There's an extra bench over here. Right now, this is where I do most of my packing and shipping, just because it's one of the places that doesn't have stuff stored on it. And then over here is just my POS system. You got all kinds of stuff. So there is a tour of the shop. It's where a lot of the magic happens. All right, so let's dive into the bingo portion of the video. This is my bingo cage. And what I do is there are 75 balls in there with 75 different numbers, and each one is associated with a question. So there's 15 for B, which is B is for bench skills and techniques. I is for industry and business. N is for the nature of growth. G is for things that I find greater meaning. And O is just for other things and other teachings. So I'm going to mix these up quickly. All right, those are mixed up good. A couple of them randomly fell out, so I'll stick those back in. All right, let's do this so that you can see. Here we go. Ready? Here comes the number. And the number is, oh, there we go. These things are small, kind of hard to hold on to. 54 under G. So G is for greater meaning. G, 54. The question is, what's the relationship between beauty and craftsmanship? Well, there's an interesting question. I guess, to me, beauty is defined by either the person who owns a piece of jewelry or who makes it. So something that's beautiful for me, not necessarily beautiful to other people. You know, when customers come in and they want me to do a custom piece for them, and they don't give me any direction as far as what the things that they are interested in, the things that they are attracted to, I'll refuse to do it. I'll send them home with some homework. I'll say, go find some things that you like, and give me an idea of some of the pieces, maybe jewelry, or it doesn't necessarily have to be jewelry, but some of the things that spark interest in you. Because if you leave it up to me, it's probably going to look like a race car, because those are the things that I enjoy doing. So beauty to me is different than beauty to other people. Some people find beauty in nature. Some people find beauty in architecture. Some people find beauty in all kinds of things. So beauty is hard to put your finger on, but to me, I explain it, once you see beauty, you can't really unsee it. So it makes sense to you. So the difference between beauty and craftsmanship, now craftsmanship to me is taking things that are available to you and creating something that's never been created before, and how you draw from that are the things that you find beauty in. So whether you're making things in metal or paper or whatever, you are sitting down with a pile of things, and you're going to create or craft something out of that that's never been in existence before. And the things that are going to inspire you are the things that you find beauty in. So there's a marriage between beauty and craftsmanship, the way I understand it. So when I make a piece of jewelry, I'm going to take, and the curves and the corners are going to be fashioned in a way that I find attractive. Maybe I want something that's got nice, sharp, clean edges. Maybe I want something that's got nice, soft, flowing, natural edges. And it depends on where I am at that current time. So I might do the same project a couple of times, and depending on where I am mentally is going to instruct how I create that thing. And for the most part, it's not going to change that much, but there's going to be small nuances that change according to how I'm, believe it or not, how I'm feeling at the moment. So I tell people, when I'm sitting at the bench working with metal, either with a hammer or a file or something like that, I can get lost in that piece, and it's very meditative to me. There's ways that go about it and do it quicker, and sometimes I'll do that. Yesterday we were working on a project and we had to file some stuff down quickly. So we pulled out this big rotary file and we kind of grind it down, do it quick. But sometimes I just like to sit with a piece with a file and just sit there and just mold it, and just slowly watch the operation happen. So every file stroke you're watching to see exactly what that file is doing, and you're seeing, using the light, how the file is working, what area it's working. And so you're sitting there and you're rotating it and filing it and moving it, and there's life in that. That's the creative process to me. But again, as a business owner, I can't always get caught in that, because I'll lose money all the time, because like I said, I'll take an hour doing a job that could take 5 or 10 minutes. So sometimes you have to juggle that and say, okay, what's more important right now? And a lot of times it's more important to me to rest and to take my time and do something, because again, it feeds something inside of me. Like this week, usually I make 3 videos a week. This week I took a little bit of time off just because I've got a lot of work, and there was a holiday in there, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to step back, I'm going to create margin in my life, and I'm going to take a couple of days off and not create anything video wise. And to me, I needed that, because I'm monitoring, how the operation is going, how I'm feeling and stuff like that. And sometimes it's just like, okay, I need to back off and slow down and take my time and do something different. So again, how do we get there? It's from the beauty and the creative. You have to understand the beauty for yourself, and you have to know what feeds that, and kind of make sure that's still motivating you, that the craft that you're doing is being motivated by beauty. And again, as a business person, you can't always do that. You've got to look at the bottom end and crunch the numbers and all that stuff. But just knowing that that's going to happen puts it in its perspective. So again, back to the question, what was the question again? What's the relationship between beauty and craftsmanship? To me, craftsmanship is fueled by the beauty that you're looking for, or the beauty that is inside of you. So hopefully that helps. Take it for what it's worth. That's what we do on these bingo days. What do we call that? Bench wisdom bingo. So again, I've been at the bench for over 40 years, and sometimes I learn a thing or two. Sometimes I don't. So thanks for stopping in. I'll see you next time. This is Doug with the JewelryMonk Studio. And thanks for watching, and subscribe if you haven't. And go over to JewelryMonk.com and check out the website. There's a bunch of free stuff. And we send out a weekly newsletter as well. So if you want to subscribe there, it's a good thing. So take care. We'll see you next time.